Hello everyone, it is Canadian Futures Trader here. It's currently April 2021, and in this video I'm basically going to be going over the funded trader evaluation program Earn2Trade. Just kind of go over a summary. It says it right here, an overview of them, what their current offering is, the pros, the cons, the tips, the tricks, and more. So if you were thinking about going with Earn2Trade, this might be the video for you. Okay, guys, so a little bit about my background and my background as it relates to Earn2Trade before we get into it, just so you know what I'm talking about. So I started out trading a little bit over a year ago, so by no means am I some expert hotshot trader. I'm just a guy who's gone through different trader evaluations. I've had some success, and I try to pass on that information to other people like yourself watching these videos, because when I started, it was really, and even today, it's really difficult to find good information where people weren't selling you something. So most people are trying to sell you a course or their trade indicator package. None of that. I never try to sell anything. I just try to put out actual information that I've learned myself and hopefully can pass on to other people. So that's what this is about, to give you a nice summary of Earn2Trade. So I myself have tried out with 4 funded trader programs, and I've actually passed 3 of them. So the 4, just by name, are TopStep Trader, Earn2Trade, LeeLoo Trading, and OneUp Trader. And the 3 that I passed were the 3 other than Earn2Trade. Now, I want to clarify something. It's not because Earn2Trade's the hardest or anything like that. I kind of mentioned here, I tried out with Earn2Trade mid-2020, so this was just a few months after I'd started trading. I call them my wild crude oil days. Back when I first started trading, I really had my heart set on being a crude oil CL trader. Long before I trade the products that I trade now, the Ultra Bond, I didn't even know what the Ultra Bond was back then. I wrote here my main strategy was hope. That maybe is a little bit extreme, but I really wasn't. Looking back on it, I definitely didn't have any sort of sound strategies or setups. It was much more, okay, crude oil's going up, I'm going to go long, and fingers crossed, and that works sometimes, but it doesn't work all the time. And what eventually happened was I was just spinning my wheels and wasn't really trading well. So, of course, I did not pass Earn2Trade, for example. So I meant to circle back to Earn2Trade several times, and I just didn't, only because I wanted to try out some of the other programs. Not because I necessarily thought it would be easier or anything like that, but maybe, they were running a special that looked attractive, or for whatever reason. So Earn2Trade was always there, but I just never got back to it until finally, now in April 2021, I'm back trading the 150K evaluation, and so far is going terrific. And I will mention too, and I think I mentioned later in the videos, I was actually pleasantly surprised. So Earn2Trade, not to jump ahead too much, but they really do have a ton of educational information, and it's only grown. When I logged in and kind of signed out, I was like, wow, it's really, they've bolstered what they have here. So in terms of what they have available, their different evaluation levels, they call them the Gauntlet Minis. They were nice enough to give me a special link to where you get 20% off if you sign up using the link. Links down below, links on my website. I'll talk more about it later, but basically get 20% off, which is pretty cool. Or I wrote best available offer. So for example, and I kind of have the prices up here, when you click the link, it will automatically apply the discount, but if they're currently offering a better discount, that will show up as well. So currently right now in April 2021, they have the 50K for 40% off, which is obviously better than 20%. And you see that down here. It's actually cheaper than the smaller account level. And that's because this one automatically applied the 40%. The others have the 20% discount applied, and this pricing reflects that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Just a few things. We're going to go through the various rules. They have a pretty standard offering in terms of account sizes. They do have a 75K account, which I've only seen at one other place. So you don't see that too often. It's just more selection for you if that seems to fit your budget a bit better, the contract sizing, etc. The one I'm doing is the 150K up to 15 contracts. And let's look through some of this. So in terms of the evaluation rules, I encourage you to visit the Earn2Trade website for the latest rules. I mean, I don't think they've changed since I was with them mid-2020, but I don't want someone to go off my presentation and say, oh, the Canadian futures trader told me that the scaling plan was this and now it's changed to that. Well, always look to their site, obviously, for the correct rules. Uh, so we're going to go through these in more detail, so I won't bother to read through them. Let's just get to it. So, and actually, before we get to it, they do have another product called the Gauntlet Full, or it's just called the Gauntlet. So it's like a full one. Just a quick, brief intro and introduction. I've never done it, so I can't speak to it. I did talk to them about it back in 2020. So the trader valuations that you guys are kind of used to is this kind of standard, like 10 days, 15 days. Those are referred to as the Gauntlet Minis with Earn2Trade, and that's what I'm in. The 150K is a 15-day Gauntlet Mini. So the full Gauntlet is 60 calendar days. You have to trade at least 30 of those. You can hold overnight. There's one size that's 25K, and your profit goal is 10%, or obviously 2.5K. Obviously, this is geared more towards someone who maybe you have a full-time job and you can't trade every day, and your schedule's a little bit haphazard, and you don't know what days you could trade, etc. And you don't want to be worried about paying for each month, and you might not have time to pass, like in the minis. Whatever the reason might be, maybe you like holding positions overnight. You do a lot of research. You are looking for the long haul. Gauntlet would be for you. That said, personally, I much prefer scalping, in and out, done. So let's get to the Gauntlet Minis and what I'm doing there. So the profit goal and the trading days, I put this on one slide. So they're very standard, I would say, in terms of the profit goals. Each evaluation has a target, and it's similar to other programs. So the 150K, which I'm in, is a 9K goal. That's pretty universal. I think every company, their 150K is about a 9K goal. And likewise, the math works out. The 50K has a 3K goal, and everything in between. Trading days, it's 15 days, it's one step. I would say that's pretty standard. There's some programs that are 10 days, obviously. There's some that are 15 days broken up into two steps. This one is just 15 days and one step. Okay, guys, let's go and explain trailing drawdown and daily loss limit. Now, I'm just going to kind of give you the gist of how it works with Earn2Trade. If you are completely foreign to the concept of trailing drawdowns or daily loss limits, I encourage you to go look those up. I don't want to spend like a half hour explaining these, but they work different in each program, funded trader program, like the different companies. So it's good to know what the rules are, and that's what I'm going to kind of tell you. But again, if you have no idea how trailing drawdown works in general, definitely learn what it is before you start trading. It's essentially a number that will trail you up as you become more profitable. It will trail you up by a fixed amount. Let's say it's $3,000, for example. And then once you hit your initial starting balance, it will stay there. But I'll just leave it at that. Definitely look up what trailing drawdown is if you don't know. So trailing drawdown with Earn2Trade is updated intraday. So it's updated after each trade. Some programs do it once per day at the end of the day. Others do it during the trade. So Earn2Trade's kind of in the middle there. It's based on closed P&L of each trade. So an example here, day one, first trade, you enter a trade, it goes $2,000 profitable, but you don't close out, and the trade kind of comes back against you. You do close out for $1,000 of profit. So you still end up making $1,000. You could have made $2,000 at the high though. Your trailing drawdown will reflect the $1,000 in profit. So it doesn't matter how high it went. It's not based on open P&L, it's only closed P&L. You close for $1,000 in profit, your trailing drawdown is moved up by $1,000. How you can always monitor your trailing drawdown is check your auto liquidate value in Rithmic. Rithmic is the software you connect your Earn2Trade account through to your different trading platforms. It will have plenty of information, and one of those is auto liquidate. That is your trailing drawdown balance. I didn't write it on here, but I think I just mentioned a minute ago. It stops at your break even. So for example, I'm in the 150K account. I don't remember exactly what the trailing drawdown number is, but it will stop at 150K. So by the point I'm up to say 156, 157,000 in account balance, that trailing drawdown just remains fixed at 150K. Now, this is all related to trailing drawdown. Daily loss limit is another number. It's a set value. It doesn't supersede trailing drawdown, and it's just a number. Again, I don't remember the specific number based on account size, but say it's $3,000. You can't lose more than $3,000 in a given day, or you will break a rule. That's basically what daily loss limit is. Again, if you're completely foreign to these, go look up how they work, because this will definitely break a rule if you fall below these numbers. So be aware of what they are and how they work. So with Earn2Trade, there is a scaling plan, or they refer to it as a progression ladder. On the next slide, I actually zoom in on one of these, so we'll get into it a little bit more in detail. But basically, the scaling plan is laid out on their site. I took this image right from their site. You start, obviously, with a smaller number of contracts than you're allowed. And as you reach certain profit goals, you scale up. You move up the progression ladder. This is up to you to monitor. You will break a rule if you trade too many contracts. So let's just look at the next slide. So I chose the 150K account here for the example. It's the one I am currently doing. So when you sign up, it'll say up to 15 contracts. Well, you start out at zero profit, right? So until you make 1,500 in profit, you can only trade up to 4 contracts. And then likewise, once you pass 1,500, you can trade 6, etc. So let's just read through the points that I wrote out here. 150K account, 15 contracts, start with 4. It's your responsibility to track this. So if you violate this rule, it's up to you to monitor this. So, and it is updated intraday. So that can either be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you trade. It's a good thing. Let's say it's day 1 and you're up to 2,000 in profit and you want to start scaling up. Well, you can do that. On the flip side, though, if you scale up and then say your next trade was a big loser and you fall below the threshold of where you can trade at, let's just use the same example. You're at 2,000 in profit. You decide your next trade, you're going in with 6 contracts, ends up being a loser. You fall down to 1,400. You just violated a rule already because you were trading 6 contracts when your account balance was below 1,500. So I have 3 recommendations for you. 1, don't scale up intraday. Just start out with, hey, I know I'm allowed to trade 4 contracts today. That's the most I'm going to trade. Or say it's day number 2 and again, you're at 2,000 profit. Be very aware of what this number is. But that comes into recommendation number 2. Leave lots of buffer. So when you're at 2,000 in profit, you really have no business jumping in with 6 contracts. Because again, if that trade goes against you, that might be the rule that you violate. And it would just be kind of like a stupid reason to violate when it's easy to mitigate. Just don't trade 6 contracts. Just stick with 4. So use personal auto liquidate settings in Rithmic. I have an entire video on how to set this. There's a link down below on what it is. Basically, in Rithmic, you can set your own auto liquidate value that is more conservative than the auto liquidate from the trailing drawdown, or is also maybe saves you from this. So give you an example. You're at let's just say you're at 4,000 in profit and you're going into your next day. You really want to trade, you think it's safe to trade 6 contracts, but you're slightly worried because if you fall below 1,500, that's going to violate a rule. You could set your own auto liquidate at some number higher than 1,500, maybe it's 1,800. So if you're in the heat of the trade and you're not paying attention really to where your balance is at, if it was to come down, it will kick you out of the trade. You might not like that, but guess what? It will save you from violating a rule. So just to summarize all that, you can set your own much more conservative kind of stop amount that won't violate rules, and you get to choose where you set it. But you just need to know where to go to set that, and that's in the other video that I will put a link to in the description. So just one more comment on scaling plans in general. Some people like them and some people don't. I can make a case either way. Sure, is it nice to have your full clip available, 15 contracts from day 1? Does it make it maybe a bit easier to pass? Sure, but it also makes it a little bit more dangerous if you have those available. I would say Earn2Trade is very much, I'm not saying someone with a lot of experience won't find it attractive, but if you are brand new to trading, Some of these things are built in that make it a little bit easier for you. The fact that you can only trade 4 contracts when you start, and then we'll get to some of the education material they have. But so this might be a good thing. Don't look at it as a bad thing. You can do a lot of damage with 4 contracts. And to give you an example that's very relevant, I'm on day number 3. The goal is 9,000, and I'm already at roughly 2,300, I want to say, all trading 4 contracts. Like, you could actually pass any of these evaluations trading like the smallest amount of contracts. Like trading 4 contracts, you could pass a 150K. So I don't necessarily look at it as a bad thing. And the other thing that's worth mentioning is when you get funded, every single program, regardless of what the rules were in the evaluation, they have a scaling program in the funded once you get funded. So if anything, this kind of sets the tone, so you get a little, taste of what it's like to have to slowly build up your account and before you're cut loose with more contracts. So not necessarily a bad thing. Now, there's also a consistency rule, and it's fairly straightforward. No one day can count for more than 30% of your profit. So, example, I think explains it best. 150K evaluation, 9K is the goal. So, assuming you plan on making just over 9K, I think that's pretty universal. That's what people tend to do. Like, once you pass the rule, you just kind of, you're not going to try to hit a home run and make 12K. You don't get bonus points for making up and above, the goal. No one day can be more than 2,700, which is 30% of 9K. So I'm in this evaluation right now, and I'm very aware of this number. So if I have a day where I'm profitable, I don't really want to make more than 2,700. Now, considering you have to trade 15 days, I don't think this is a big deal. Some people, they see consistency rule, they're like, oh, that's not fair. If I'm on a great day, you're slowing me down. I don't think it's a big deal. If over the course of 15 days, which really in the big scheme of life is not a lot of time, you can't work within this rule, then so be it. Maybe this isn't for you, but I don't think it's a big deal. So I will mention too, part of why they have rules like this is to prevent people from doing what I see people do in other evaluations where they don't have this rule. They just basically go for it on day 1. They try to home run it, pass in one day, and then they just coast for the last 14 days or whatever it might be. They aren't really demonstrating their ability to trade by doing so. And somebody with a lot of money could honestly just pay for an evaluation, go, I'm going to go long and see what happens. And, if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, they just reset and try it again. So rules like this prevent stuff like that. It kind of forces you to actually demonstrate a little bit of proficiency in trading. So continuing on with this, if you do have one day that is over 30%, it doesn't actually break a rule. So that's not a rule on the upside, but you at least need to be in compliance by the end of your evaluation. So an example, 9K goal, 150K count. Day 1, I come in, I make 3,300. Well, 3,300 is more than the 2,700 I mentioned over here. 30% of 9K is 2,700. So I come in, I make 3,300. I think I'm pretty cool. Well, the problem is 3,300 is more than 30%. So in order to make 3,300 be 30% or less than my total profit, I now need to make 11 grand in profit. The way I came up with that was I took 3,300, I divided it by 30%. My new goal would be 11,000. So at this point, I'm going to have to make at least 11,000 so that 3,300 is 30% or less than it. So I'm effectively making my goal more difficult. So don't do it. Easy solution, guys. Know what the number is. It's 2,700. Don't make more than 2,700 in any one given day. If you make 2,700, let's say you make 2,600, just stop anyways. That's a good day. Lock it in, take the day off, go buy yourself an ice cream, whatever it might be. Okay, so that kind of covers the higher level rules. Again, just to circle back, do go check out what the current rules are. Again, they haven't traded in since I've ever been with Earn2Trade, but just if you're watching this, 2 years from now, video's still up on YouTube. Check what the current rules are, current pricing, all of that. So Earn2Trade actually has quite a lot to offer. I was pleasantly surprised. So I came back after 6 months. It was mid 2020. It's currently like spring 2021 when I circled back to Earn2Trade. Time flies. They've really grown their library of material for traders. So, kind of some things they have. They have a free NinjaTrader, and I'm actually going to show you some of this, so we'll breeze through this really quick. Free NinjaTrader license, which is pretty standard with the trader evaluation programs. They also have a web-based browser called Finamark. I'll show you a screenshot of that and what that looks like. So that kind of gives you an extra option, if you will, if you either don't like NinjaTrader or if it's just easier for you to trade on your browser. Educational material, they have a ton, and it's only grown. They have free journaling software. It's called Journalytics. Journalytics is by Jigsaw, and if you follow me at all, you know that I trade using Jigsaw's day trader platform. Huge fan of Jigsaw. Their founder, Peter Davies, great guy, puts out a ton of educational information. Anyways, with Earn2Trade, you do get free access to Journalytics, and I am a big fan as well of journaling your trades, if anything, to track your stats. You can track your stats, slice them, dice them any which way, so you get free access to that. And then lastly, I mentioned their dashboard's updated in real time. So whatever your closed P&L is, once you close a trade, your dashboard on the Earn2Trade site actually is updated pretty quickly. Whereas some of the other programs, it doesn't update either until kind of that in-between time, that hour when the market is closed, or some of them don't update till like overnight. So you're already on to the next day before your dashboard's updated. So I think it's kind of nice that it's updated in real time. Let's take a look. So this is just the dashboard once you sign up to give you a sense of what it looks like. You can see right here, Gauntlet Mini, 350, renews May 13th. I started obviously April 13th, I think, 12th or 13th, whatever it is. So this is what it looks like once you are signed in. So NinjaTrader, I'm just going to kind of go down some of these. I already own a copy of NinjaTrader, so I did not necessarily need the free one, but most people signing up to these valuations, just claim your free copy of NinjaTrader and you can trade away in these evaluations. So you just click here, click a few buttons, request code, download NinjaTrader, all the instructions will be there. This is the Finamark browser trader that I mentioned. I don't personally use it. I did use it when I very first started with Earn2Trade, but I haven't used it since. I mean, you click that Finamark on the dashboard, it brings you right here, you sign in, and that's basically it. You can set up the charts and the depth of market and all that stuff you want. You can trade right off of here. So educational content is one area that Earn2Trade really stands out. And not to fast forward to the punchlines, but for people that are new to trading, so Earn2Trade, one of the reasons I went with them back when I was newer was they have a ton of educational content and it's only grown. I taught myself to trade mainly off YouTube, but it's very somewhat haphazard, right? Like I find one person teaching one method of trading, I find somebody else who has a completely different way of teaching, and they have different charts and they use different software. So the nice thing with this is it's very uniform. So when you want to learn about something, you're going to get the same kind of uniform presentation for everything. So let's go through some of it really quick. So they have three types of educational material. The first one are called lessons. They're just short, 3 to 4 minutes each. I did a screenshot just to show that there's 62. This gives you an idea of what some of them are. But again, when you're brand new to trading and you're like, I want to give this a try, but I don't know that much about it, this is a great place to start. Work your way through these lessons. I mean, what's that? 3 or 4 hours worth of educational material. You'll have a nice high level of what things are. Second thing they have are guides. These are roughly 15 minutes each. There's 91 of them. I counted them all. And you can see some of the topics here. Market volatility, copper futures, risk management, back testing, slippage. So every kind of little niche topic, there's a nice little 15-minute guide. So you can kind of go, start with the lessons, 3 or 4 minutes each. Then you say, you know what, I really want to learn more about the crude oil market. Well, guess what? They most likely have, I know they do, have a crude oil guide video. So spend 15 minutes learning more about crude oil. Then, once you've delved into all this and spent quite a bit of time, and again, you don't have, this isn't a requirement, by the way. This is just supplemental educational stuff that's there if you want it. They have webinars. These are each about 45 to 60 minutes, and there's 97 of them. So I did the math. There is legitimately over 125 hours worth of educational content all combined on their site. So it would take quite a bit to get through it. You can obviously just kind of cherry pick what matters most to you. And these are very specific topics. So like right here, MACD. If you want to learn all about the MACD, they have a nice 50-minute video all about it. Head and shoulders, stochastics, CCI, RSI, blah, blah, blah. So tons of educational content, and this is what's growing. Like they're just continually adding to this kind of knowledge base that you can tap into. So again, if you're new to trading, you're not going to find stuff like this on any of the other sites. And I don't want to start throwing out names, but some of them have absolutely zero educational content. Some of them have like a little bit. I would say definitely the trend is more towards nothing. And it's not to say that the other programs are bad because they don't have this, but Earn2Trade definitely goes the extra mile and then some to give you educational content. So here's a screenshot of what your trader dashboard looks like. This was after my day 1. Yes, it was a slight loser. Happy to report I'm currently on day 3 and over $2,000 profitable. But just to give you an idea, so I mentioned this updates in real time. So your balance in your P&L and your percentage gain will all update in real time after you close a trade. These don't necessarily update in real time only because, so something like this, trade a minimum of 15 days. Well, that's not going to update till after the day closes, but this will update shortly after the day closes. You can also see here, we talked way back earlier about max daily loss and trailing loss limit. So your trailing loss limit will trail you up, and your max daily loss is just sort of a fixed number. Don't lose more than this on any day. Also don't hit your trailing loss limit. All of these are highlighted in orange. You can click them and learn more about them. Again, for people that are completely new to trading, and I did not touch on these things at all, but things like your approved times, you have to trade, they're pretty standard across all trader evaluation programs. Basically just be done before 3 p.m. What is it? It's Central Time. It's 1 p.m. here on the West Coast where I am. I think it's technically 1:10 p.m. for me. It's when it is. Hey, click on the link and you can see what the approved times are. You passed. Congratulations. You listened to all my advice. You didn't violate anything. You didn't violate a trailing drawdown. You traded within the scaling plan. You met the profit goal. You traded in the approved times. You traded the 15 days. All those things, you passed. So what is next? This is what people... Actually, I will say this. I'm surprised at how little attention the funded rules get compared to the evaluation rules. Now, obviously, you have to pass through the evaluation before you get to funded, but I don't often see people discussing the rules once you get funded. People think, oh, you get funded, they just give you a 150K account, you're off to the races. Not quite. There is still things like scaling plans, trading in the proper times, and then things like money, right? Goal is to make some money and withdraw it. So let's talk about this. So you can withdraw weekly with Earn2Trade, which I'm a big fan of because some programs, it's monthly. I saw one recently that I did not like, that you can only withdraw quarterly. Can you imagine making money and you can't withdraw it for 3 months down the road? No. Let's get back to Earn2Trade. You can withdraw weekly. Love that. They are processed on Tuesdays. Minimum withdrawal is $100. I think that's more than fair. 80-20 split, so 80% goes to the trader. I will say that's very standard across all the programs. I do want to mention, just so it's out there, some of the programs you keep 100% of the first X amount. With Earn2Trade, it's just 80% from the start. So there you go. Withdrawal methods, Wire, ACH, and PayPal. I actually specifically checked with them. I kind of assumed there would be a limit on how much you could withdraw via PayPal or ACH. They said no. Withdraw as much as you want through any of these methods. One caveat I will give you, and this is on PayPal, and this has nothing to do with Earn2Trade, but PayPal is fairly strict if you do something with your account that's out of the norm. So let's say all of a sudden you make a ton of money trading with Earn2Trade and you do a $10,000 withdrawal to your PayPal account, and in the past you would only ever use PayPal to buy stuff on eBay for like $100. PayPal's probably going to flag that as a suspicious transaction. Again, nothing to do with Earn2Trade. This is PayPal. You'll probably just have to provide PayPal with something like a statement from Earn2Trade showing, yes, this was me, this was my money that I withdrew. Just be aware of that. So But wire and ACH is what I would honestly probably recommend anyways. Exchange fees. So let me just explain what these are, and then I'll give a little bit more information. So it's $105 per exchange. So example, I trade the treasuries, which are on CBOT. I also trade NQ, which is CME. So I would have to pay $105 per exchange for access to the data to trade these things. Again, this is funded account, nothing to do with the valuation. You don't have to pay this in the evaluation. So I'm going to have to pay per market. So I have a couple choices. One, I could just say, nope, I'm only going to trade treasuries going forward. I only want to pay 105. So be it. Two, they have, and I didn't make a slide for this, but they have something called the live sim. So once you pass, you have the ability for your first 5,000 in profit to trade still in sim, but it's what they call live sim. Your first exchange is free in live sim, and you can then roll those profits over into the fully funded account. So I don't want to completely go down that road in terms of explaining all the nuances, but essentially it's a quicker on road to get started trading once you get funded. You don't have to pay for your first exchange with live sim, and your first $5,000 you can then roll over into a fully funded account. Or you have the option, just go fully funded from the start. But I'll leave that to you to kind of explore and decide what's best. So just to we're getting to the end here. I know this is a long presentation. Thanks for sticking with me. The standout offerings of Earn2Trade, I would say, so the dashboard being updated in real time, I think it's kind of cool they do that. Is it going to change your life? No, of course not. But it's nice that it's an option relative to some of the others where it doesn't update till like overnight. Let's put it this way. For me making videos of my progress, it's really nice that when I'm done trading, I can take a screenshot of my dashboard and it has what my profit is. Educational content, this is the big standout for me. Again, if someone brand new to trading comes to me and says, CFT, who do you recommend? You've been with a bunch of them. I know nothing about trading. I need to learn and I want to try out trading. I would without a doubt say go with Earn2Trade then. There's so much, all that educational content, it's just almost tons of value there. Let's just put it that way. On top of it, you're getting the Journalytics and the Finamark software. I can't speak much to Finamark. I haven't used it. I do think it's nice they have it. So if for some reason you had an issue in a trade with Rhythmic, you could hop into Finamark and close it out, or you just want to trade in your browser. You have Finamark available. Journalytics, I'm a huge fan of tracking your stats. I look at my stats almost every single day. I'm slicing and dicing. I'm seeing what my win rates are, my better at long trades, at short trades, etc. Journalytics will treat you well, and it's by Jigsaw Trading, which is a great product. I can't speak highly enough about them. Pricing, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, they gave me 20% off, which is very cool of them. I love it when companies do that. They say, hey, CFT, love what you're doing. Pass this on to anyone that wants to sign up for Earn2Trade, and such as I will. Link down below. If you click the link, the discount is automatically applied. So there you go. They also give you a sim account to test out on. Not all programs do that. So I know TopStep does. I don't think LeeLoo, OneUp, and the other ones I'm not really familiar with do that. Little perk, I mean, you might use it, you might not. If you want to test something out, it's a second account. It's a complete sim account. It doesn't count towards your evaluation whatsoever. It's legitimately just if you want to go try something, or let's just say you love trading, but you've already reached your profit goal for the day. Well, shut down your Gauntlet and log into the sim and just trade the sim. Try a few things out. So again, I've said it a few times, but I really am impressed. If you're new to trading and want education and trading, Earn2Trade is the option to go with. All of that said, I'm not by any means saying that it's only for new traders. I mean, I've circled back to them. I'm impressed with what they're doing, and so far has overall been a fantastic experience. So I'm glad I finally got back to Earn2Trade. I feel like going home, it feels comfortable. So if you go to my website, I mean, there's a link down below in the video, but you can also go to my site. I have this deals page that you can go to. I always list it out, and there's a link to Earn2Trade right there. Click on that. It will bring you to the pricing with the discount. And that is basically it, guys. I hope this video was helpful to people if you're maybe researching the trader evaluation programs, you're researching Earn2Trade specifically. This gives you a little bit of insight into what to expect. Here's where you can find me. Obviously, my website is CanadianFutureTrader.ca. I do use this abbreviated version only because this is super long. So when you see the link, it's like Earn2Trade.this. It's basically Canadian Futures Trader with all the vowels pulled out. .ca, that is me as well. You can find me on Instagram. I don't post a lot, but I do post some. Canadian Futures Trader. My email is CanadianFutureTrader@gmail.com. I also have a contact page on my site you can fill out if that's easier. And you are watching this video, obviously on YouTube, but my YouTube is Canadian Futures Trader. And that is basically it, guys. I want to thank you for watching the video. Once again, feel free to email me with any questions. And if I can't answer them, maybe I can put you in touch with the right person at Earn2Trade. Or if you do sign up, feel free to comment down below. Curious to see how you are doing, and I will leave you with that. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. I put out videos like this. I also put out videos with my progress through the various programs. Like I mentioned, right now I am doing Earn2Trade. So if you're seeing this like the day that it comes out or in the next few weeks, be sure to follow along on my journey as well. I'm documenting that. And I try to put out some educational kind of trading videos as well. So thanks everybody. I will see you in the next video.